What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Echoes of Elsewhere, the podcast all about urban exploration. I'm your host, Courtney Autumn. I am back this week, solo dolo. I don't have a guest, but I am here with a really exciting topic that I have been waiting to discuss on this podcast until I gathered all my info properly. Today, we're cracking open the subcultures of urban exploration, the crews, the loners, the artists, the daredevils, the risk takers. Urbex isn't just one thing. It is a tapestry of different obsessions, each with its own rules, risks, and rewards. So today I am here to dive into the tribes that make up this outlaw community, from tunnel rats and rooftoppers to train hoppers, and of course the OG explorers of all things abandoned. I will be shouting out some of my favorite explorers in these different subcultures, so be sure to give them a follow. I will also link them in the description, as always. Without further ado, let's jump into the spectrum of Urbex. We will start below, deep in the underbelly of the city, the underground, which is where the tunnel rats explore. Those who love to go through storm drains, steam tunnels, and sewer systems like ghosts in the grime. Down here, light is a luxury, and every echo could mean security, a sudden flood, or something much worse. These aren't just people looking for a thrill. Some of them are mapping entire underground networks, revealing a hidden world most never even think about. One of my favorite explorers that comes to mind in this category is someone I follow on Instagram. Their handle is at Urbex Storm. I believe they do all kinds of Urbex, if I'm not mistaken, but I do know that I have noticed a very diehard theme for this type of Urbex, and to be honest, it's not a type of exploration that I seek out. I don't know. For me, I feel like I don't like the idea of not being able to see my surroundings. I also might be a little claustrophobic, so these people get a huge token of respect from me, especially because I cannot see myself doing this type of urban exploration. So shout out to at Urbex Storm and all of you other explorers out there that are brave enough to go underground, because I'm not. Although I will say it's interesting. It does pique my curiosity, just not enough to bring out the amount of courage that I think it takes to do something like that. So again, shout out to all of you guys who go underground, who love doing it. Mad respect. It's not for me. Anyways, if you have a favorite explorer that you know loves to go into tunnels and be underground, hit me up, DM me on Instagram at Urbex Echoes. I'm also on Reddit. You can drop me a comment on Spotify, but I would love to know your favorite underground explorers, because I do need some more of that content in my feed. And to be honest, I'd love to track one down and have them on the podcast, because I have so many questions about this specific type of Urbex. Moving along to above ground, we have the OG Abandonment Explorers, is what I'll call them. People like me who will pretty much explore anything, basically, other than a tunnel, apparently. But as I said, I would like to consider myself this type of explorer, because I do like to get into pretty much anything abandoned, of any stature, of any size, history, background, property, whatever. Like, if it's abandoned, I'm here for it. I love industrial sites. I love houses. I love schools. I love hospitals. I love it all. So you catch my drift, because Urbex is not always about danger. Even though I do love the risky element of it, I do love that this type of Urbex has a lot to do with history. A lot of us explorers are the documentarians of decay. We like to slip into hospitals, factories, entire ghost towns sometimes if we're lucky. We're the ones who step carefully over peeling linoleum. We like to photograph forgotten operating tables, abandoned shopping malls, rusted out Ferris wheels, an abandoned amusement park. I mean, you name it. So, as you guys know and can probably gather, most of the explorers on here on this podcast so far that I've interviewed are this type of explorer. It's probably one of the most common arenas of Urbex. To shout out some of my favorites, which some of you already are familiar with because they've shown up on the podcast, Big Banks is a favorite of mine. Luke Explorers is probably my absolute favorite explorer in general, but also my favorite person. Seriously, he's great. If you haven't listened to the interview with Luke Explorers, highly recommend. And just look him up in general. As I said, I'll be linking everyone that I mentioned on here in the description. So be sure to follow them and go view their content. It's all equally amazing. Luke he stands out the most to me. That's my personal opinion. So anyways, yes, Luke Explorers, Big Banks, and the OG of all OGs, Abandoned Southeast, who I think I've mentioned on here before. Highly recommend following him, going to his website, reading through his blog. He's just amazing. He's like a class act, but in a good way. I don't know if that's like a bad thing or a good thing. Anyways, I love him is my point, and I highly recommend him. He's been at this game for a long time, and he's done everything in a way that is just so chef's kiss, Anyways, moving on, we have the Skyline Bandits, as I like to call them, the Rooftoppers, and the Airbexers. The ones who believe the best way to see pretty much anything, but especially a city, is from above. The urban acrobats that balance on crane arms, scale bridges, and walk on the edges of skyscrapers with nothing but void beneath them. They're often after that perfect shot, that moment where the city stretches below them like an electric maze. It's dangerous, it's thrilling, and I'm sure that it's super fucking addicting, because if I lived in like New York or Atlanta or really any big city, I would probably be this type of explorer for sure. Or at least I would work it into my explorers, because I really am an adrenaline junkie. I used to want to be a skydive instructor. That was a whole chapter of life. So yeah, I love heights. I love the sky. I love just being away from Earth. I don't want to skydive from space like that crazy person, but I'm here for that guy. Like, I want to sit him down for an interview, to be honest with you guys. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, please do get on YouTube immediately and look up the skydive from space, because this guy is like the G of all G's. Needless to say, I do love this type of Urbex. I'm so here for it. If any of you do this kind of stuff and you listen to this podcast, please hit me up and invite me with you at least one time. Please. Seriously though, because I feel like this kind of Urbex is just next level, and I love it. I love it so much. And I really haven't gotten any higher than like a water tower. I've climbed a water tower. What else have I climbed? I feel like I've climbed something else, but now I can't even think of anything. I've definitely climbed a water tower, which is one of my favorite things in the world. I've obviously gone skydiving, which is another favorite thing of mine, but enough about me. So to shout out my absolute favorite Skyline Bandits, as I said. I follow both of these on Instagram, and their handles are at Cloudy Roses, and Roses is ROSESZ. And the next one is at Above Sunshine. And Above Sunshine is insane. She is amazing. I'm not going to even, I can't even speak on it. She's just so amazing. Highly recommend both of them, but she's just something else. And I think she only has like a couple of reels out there. I don't know if her account's new or something, no idea, but it's amazing stuff. It's an insane feeling when you're watching someone do this on a reel or on a video and your own knees get weak, like as if you're there. And that's what this girl's content does to me every time. Like, it never falls short. Every time I'm like questioning my own safety, and I'm just sitting here watching her shit. So highly recommend, as I said. And to get into the last but not least subcategory of urbex, which is train hopping. And this one came last because it is very, very niche. It is also very difficult to do in the United States, I've come to find out. And I notice a lot of the people that I follow that do a lot of train hopping don't live in this country, and I'm sure there's good reason for that. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I don't think it's impossible in the States. I just think it's a little bit more difficult. So correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know shit about train hopping. Because just like going into the underground, it's just not something I foresee myself doing. It's not something that I really want to do, to be honest with you. It's the kind of urbex I'm least curious about. I'll say that. I wouldn't mind to cross it off my bucket list one day. Like, every kind of urbex is on my bucket list, so I'm not hating in any way. I just feel like, again, it has a very specific amount of courage behind it. That's like a requirement to even get into this type of urbex. And with that said, it's kind of equivalent to the underground concept, where there's just a lot of circumstances that are beyond the regular uncertainty and the unknown that doing regular urbex and just exploring abandoned places comes with. So yeah, very niche. And again, probably a lot to do with where you're located and how much, opportunity, I guess, you have to go train hop. But with all of that said, I will link a few of the train hoppers that I follow in the description, and feel free to dive into that and DM me or comment and let me know your opinion on train hopping, or really on any of these subcategories, because they are really, really all super fucking amazing. And I just, yeah, I'm obsessed with urbex. Can y'all tell? So yeah, I wanted to come kind of dive into the spectrum of urbex, because it is a lot broader than most people realize. And again, I'm obsessed with it. I love it all. I'm here for it all. I could watch urbex content all day. I could talk about it all day. Don't worry, I'm not going to do that. Anyway, so there you have it, the subcultures of urban exploration, each with their own obsessions, codes, and dangers. Whether you're crawling through forgotten tunnels, hopping freight trains, balancing on rooftops, or slipping past security unseen, one thing is clear: urbex isn't just a hobby, it's a way of seeing the world. Which tribe do you belong to, or are you a little bit of all of them? Hit me up, DM me, tag me, and let's keep the conversation going. That is all for this week, you guys. Thank you so much for coming back and listening to another episode of the podcast. I am so grateful for you guys, and I really, really appreciate all the good vibes, the love, and the support you guys have been throwing my way. It has been such a good journey so far for the start of this podcast. And yeah, I appreciate it. So thank you again for all the love. I will be back next week. Until then, keep exploring the allure and the abandoned, the beauty of decay, and the echoes of elsewhere.